How can you speak about love and acceptance, but not when it comes to queer people?
Remember being like 8 and just like saying to myself like, wow, I just could never be gay. Like I just, whatever happens, like I cannot be gay. Not even really not even knowing that I even felt any type of way different. And I think just a general relationship of like shame and silence. But it's like you just don't really talk about it. And it just took me a lot longer to even just like come to terms with so many things because there was just so much silence.
In psychology, we use the word like implicitly, so like subconsciously. So even if you aren't kind of receiving explicit message, right? Even if there's no adult in your life that's saying, hey, being gay is wrong or being queer is wrong, kids kind of are picking up kind of automatically on kind of what they see around them in their community.
In my school, there was nothing. Complete silence.
My school never really brought that up. They avoided the conversation.
It was kind of, I guess, unspoken. Like, they never really said we're inclusive, but they never really said otherwise either.
I didn't feel like any of them saw me or were receptive to anything that I had to say. They were very we can disagree with your lifestyle, but still be your friends.
Me going to Catholic school and my brother as well was very much my mom's decision because she's from a very Irish Catholic family. Like her parents were both Irish immigrants, so it's very instilled in them. And I think the whole idea of Catholic guilt is also very much instilled in them and has since been instilled in me and my brother.
Because I was raised extremely religious and then my parents got divorced, religion fell off real quick. But because I was raised so religious, the first time I had a sexual experience with a guy, 10 minutes later I got into a car crash. And I was convinced that God was punishing me.
Let's look at the 10 Commandments, okay? Where are the sexual sins in the 10 Commandments? 8 and 10, okay? Not number 1, 2, or 3, 8 and 10. I'm supposed to be honoring God. That's way up there. I'm honoring my parents. That's up there. Those are, I shall not kill. I shouldn't steal. Those are, and by the way, there's also, because you know what? The gift that God has given to every single human being, called our sexuality, is an amazingly powerful, wonderful gift.
I have a lot of internalized just feelings of feeling like a bad person and evil simply from going to Catholic school and being told because I'm queer, I'm a bad person. I'm glad that I was able to figure it out even in such an oppressive environment. And almost being in that environment made it easier to figure out because I felt so different from everyone else, obviously. All the other girls, there was a public middle school across the street from our school, and it was always the thing for the girls to meet boys during recess from there and whatever. And I just never understood it.
I'm insanely empathetic, but I feel like it's definitely because I've been excluded from things. So I know how it feels, and I would never want anyone else to feel that way.
Having at least one person in your life you consider a close person who you can be your whole self around, one is so much more than zero in terms of, reducing suicidality and improving depression. And I think that I'm sure for queer kids as well, if you don't have anyone in your life that you feel like you can talk to about these things, that's dangerous. It's just literally violent and dangerous compared to having at least one person who you can be open with.
I did food service over there, and she was a Black woman, and she was my only person that I felt I felt I could talk to, and she just made it very open.
It was Miss Emma who stopped us from reading and be this is what the church promotes, but I hope you know that this isn't what I promote and what I believe in, but this is just unfortunately how it is. And as much as it sucked to have it confirmed that I was in an environment that really didn't believe in me, to at least have her be but I believe in you, that was really nice, and that was very gratifying and kind of kept me going.
I had a lot of issues in that school with microaggressions and just in general people using slurs, and some people were like, oh yeah, I support you, but they didn't act like it, I guess. And I think it comes from a place of like ignorance of not knowing how to support queer people. So at some point I realized that like I was not getting any sort of help at school. So I had to come out to someone in my family and be like, can you please help me with this? And yeah, so I came out to my mom, explained the whole situation.
That I just felt so like uncomfortable. Like this was not where I was supposed to be, and that I was not welcome. But now I like can look back on that and look at religion with just like less emotion and more of, and appreciate the aspects of it that are still beautiful, and I see the meaning it has for people. And
That's like the one sentiment from Catholicism that I've always liked is like, oh, this person is watching over you. Like that's a nice. I started to realize that those practices had actually like really instilled those like cycles of compulsions in me.
And like the pressure that they put on you with praying is like you got to pray for these people to like get better. Pray that this person is in heaven. Pray for these people. Pray for this. Like I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of pressure, especially to put on a kid.
And one girl was like telling me like, you have to go into prayer with God about this and not want it to be what you want. You have to just listen. As a gay man, obviously that has like staggering or like just crazy repercussions, because it's like it's different than like a white cis man where like, you know, they have a path to marriage, they, you know, love and all these things. But like when you're gay, it's like it means you have to sacrifice that part of yourself to like be holy in God's eyes. If you're not coming to this conversation from a sense of like, I need to be chaste in order to be holy, I can't be sexual, I can't love, and you know, it's under those conditions, like you're not allowed to take part or to like, you know, like in Ohio there were people like that who were queer and who were like very much, I'm living the chaste lifestyle and I'm doing what God wants me to do. And so those are the people who are celebrated. But like if you had a different opinion, if you're like, you know, I don't agree with that, then you're not welcoming.
There'd only be two choices for me: to live in sin all the rest of my life and never get to back to him, or B, to live a celibate life. Well, that's rather restrictive. And I don't understand God's ways enough to say that God's a two-way guy. I'm just wondering if there isn't an option 3, 4, 5, or 6.
I just kind of had all my fears internally about my sexuality, and I like never like throughout, and I waited to come out till after I graduated. So like I still don't know like if I didn't do that, if I come out earlier, would that have been different? I don't know, because like on the outside everyone's just like very sweet, very nice, but like if I had done something that was not right, would it be the same?
My brothers in the priesthood are trying. I think they're trying to do the best they can, and they're trying to, you know, do it the way. But they sometimes we create things that are not there.
I would take these things to heart, and I'm like, why do I care so much? I'm not that way.
There was another girl in the class named Elizabeth who had like just came out as bisexual, and so like she was the one like going back and forth arguing with the teacher about like if it was right or wrong about marriage and things like that. And I just remember sitting in the corner because I was always very like shy and very like timid. I kept everything to myself, and like every like fear and anxiety I had, kept it to myself. And so I remember sitting in the corner like watching the fight happen and just be like, if I want to say something, but if I say something, people will know about me, and then so I have to sit here. And I felt awful about it.
You need to be so submissive, and there's such an intense regiment. Like I've never seen like a stricter schedule for children.
Kind of like since I was a little kid, I've kind of like lived in my head. Like I had a lot of imaginary friends. Like even going into middle school, like I still had some imaginary friends because like it was just so hard to find that in real life. And it wasn't like really like my only like close friends in middle school were the ones I met on like Instagram and Twitter, and like most of them like didn't even live in Brooklyn. Like I had one who lived in Brooklyn who like literally was my best friend for so many years, and we're still really close. But other than them, it was all just like random kids I would meet online. A lot of them like in the same situations. Like I remember like being in a group chat with a bunch of kids from the UK and Ireland where the schools there are also, for the most part, Catholic and extremely conservative. So, like, we all kind of bonded over being in these oppressive environments and having to wear those, like, ugly-ass skirts every day and, like, all that stuff. And, like, to, like, at least be able to, like, complain about it at the end of the day was nice.
Like, once I went over there and I just saw, like, this is, like, what people think the epitome of being Catholic is. And I don't like this. I just knew it was, like, it wasn't as, like, sustainable.
Now, if something is consistently framed as immoral or not okay, or something that's not accepted by everyone you love, who loves you, then you might not even let yourself, acknowledge that part of yourself or do the exploration that sometimes you need to do to figure out your own sexual orientation. So, I feel like it really could delay the process for people of coming to terms with their identities.
But I don't believe in organized religion. But I am someone who is deeply influenced by spirit.
I don't know if I would consider myself Catholic anymore. I just feel like I have my relationship with God, and like it's kind of like separate from like any denomination.
I feel like as I grew up and found my own space, I was like, wow, I do think there's a higher force. I do think that in some sort of ways, the values of some religions make a lot of sense. It's just how people read it and how people interpret certain things that just make the whole thing kind of messed up.
I don't call myself religious, especially not Roman Catholic anymore, but more like just like spiritual. In the short amount of time that we exist, might as well make it nice. Like, I don't know if there's a reason for existing. I don't know if anyone's gonna remember me like 4 generations from now, but I also feel like it's kind of like my duty to just make sure that everyone just like has the nicest life that they can while they're here, and like that like we give meaning by we decide what's meaningful, and I decide that making sure that everyone's as comfortable as they can be and enjoying life as they can be, is enough meaning to me.
God has directed and guided the Catholic Church again through many, many centuries, and the Church tries to say, well, this is the path that you should follow. But if the Church is going to preach out the word from a pulpit in church about gay love, then they better make sure that they're also being clear about what it means to be involved in a heterosexual love relationship.
I always felt the need to make some sort of change for the next person.
Religion becomes a way for people to cope with life and the ambiguity of life. And so for a lot of people, they need that that organization that says if you live by these principles and you do this thing, you will be rewarded in the end.